Right. Hi everyone. My name is Owen Winship. I'm a research associate at IHMC. I'm the token exoskeleton person here among all the IHMC humanoids and people here. And I'm here to talk about a gravity compensation controller for a hip, knee, ankle exoskeleton. So our project focuses on the Hanford Tank Farm site in Washington State. So workers at this site must participate in heavy manual labor while carrying a lot of excess weight from an SCBA system and other PPE, and the aging workforce isn't able to deal with that well. So here at IHMC, we're aiming to leverage our experience in humanoids and rehabilitative exoskeletons to design suits to offload the weight of this PPE and hopefully improve workers' lives inside and outside of work. To that end, we've made the Ava Mark 1 exoskeleton. This is a powered lower body exoskeleton with actuation at the hips, knees, and ankles in the sagittal plane. The ankle is only actuated in plantar flexion in the sagittal plane. It has a passive degree of freedom at ankle dorsiflexion and passive degrees of freedom at hip internal and external rotation and hip abduction. And the device is height adjustable and modular and includes the SCBA harness integrated into the tank. The device also includes pressure sensitive insoles, which we use to track the center of pressure for each foot and the total proportion of the user's weight that is on each foot. So to offload the weight, we use a formulation of inverse dynamics gravity compensation. So if you set up the equations of motion in the usual way with mass, Coriolis, and gravity equal to the exerted torques by the exoskeleton plus the contact forces times the electric coping, then we can apply a control law that is equal to the gravitational forces plus a selected contact force at feet. And we select that force by basically just applying a force equal to the weight of the exoskeleton times the proportion of the user's weight that is on each foot at the exoskeleton. And we place that force at the center of pressure for each foot. And so some of you are probably saying, you mentioned passive degrees of freedom, and the dynamics are much more complicated than that. And to that I say yes, but this is a 6-minute presentation. They're available for anyone who wants to talk about it later in the appendix. And this was a Google Drive link, which was in Google Slides, which does not work here, but safe to say the controller, the neat thing about this controller is it's task agnostic because it's just offloading the weight from you and calculating the weight to offload, or calculating the torque to offload the weight no matter what position you're in. You can do basically whatever you want in the exoskeleton. So in the video we had a user go from walking on a treadmill to dismounting the treadmill and sitting down, all with the torques running and assisting him and keeping the weight off him. So to test, does that actually work? No, it still doesn't work. Okay. So to test this controller, we're running an experiment where we're running 4 conditions where we're walking for 6 minutes at 1.25 meters per second, kind of average walking speed. We're testing just baseline walking without the exo, without the tank, with the tank to measure the metabolic, like the cost of wearing the tank, with the exo and the tank, the assistance charge off, and with the exo, the tank, and the assistance charge on. And in these experiments, we're collecting EMG on a bunch of different leg muscles and calorimetry data. And so this is, we've only gotten through one experiment, one subject of this experiment so far. And so I cannot promise anything significant or anything you can reliably infer from, but let's look at some results anyway. So we do see some reductions in the gastrocnemius and vastus medialis muscles from the exo off condition, but kind of disappointing that we don't see that many reductions from the no exo tank condition. And I should say all of these are normalized to the no exo no tank condition. So 1 on this graph is whatever we got on that muscle on the no exo no tank condition. And we also saw a jump in the metabolic cost from wearing the exoskeleton, but comparatively little jump from wearing the tank, and comparatively little metabolic gain from running the control. However, we did see some nice kinematic changes which are promising. So we saw a slight increase in step length from the exo off condition to the gravity compensation condition, which we think maybe the user returned to a more normal gait. Adding to this, we also saw a decrease in the overall trunk angle and less kind of stooped walking. We also, in the exit off condition, saw this kind of weird hitch in the trunk angle and the hip, which we think maybe the user kind of struggling to deal with the impact with all that weight on them. And that goes away when we apply the gravity compensation controller. So some compatible factors, other than the fact that this is a n=1 experiment and you can't really infer anything from it. The air tank wasn't full at the time, so it was kind of 6 pounds lighter than it should have been. So more weight might have meant more of a metabolic difference. The subject also experienced some discomfort from sensor wrapping, and that discomfort could have also hiked up at metabolic cost. We didn't do a double reversal for this experiment, so there could have been a lot of ordering effects, and the foot soles were underreporting the pressure at the time of this experiment, and so we were kind of getting halfway there, but not applying all the torque we needed to properly offload the weight in this experiment. However, I still think these are promising signs, because the EMG reductions we did get were in muscles that contributed to joint loading at the knee and ankle, and more upright posture may lead to reduced backing. But to confirm anything, we need to run more experiments with motion capture for better inferring of joint loading and stuff. With that, here are my references. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I was wondering, so I think the original problem was that it was inconvenient for users to actually work with
Yes.
this PPE. So did the subject actually report that he or she could actually imagine working longer with the gravity compensation? Because you presented a lot of proximations and it's hard to say if it's that what you have to look for in order to get people to work.
No, this is still a very early version of the exoskeleton and still kind of a controls test bed prototype that we're working on. And it doesn't have as many degrees of freedom as we want to make it convenient to walk in the exoskeleton yet. And it's also a lot heavier than the final, we want the final version to be. So the kind of good news about the gravity compensation controller is what we've gotten from the subject feedback is that it sucks a lot less to walk in it with gravity compensation running, but the exoskeleton also, still, as we saw from a lot of the graphs, introduces a huge cost to walking in it. So hopefully we get there with the next mechanical design of the exoskeleton.
Do you think that maybe a controller that's not just gravity compensation and doing more to help the dynamics of all that weight you need? Like, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, so the goal of the gravity compensation controller is to be added as a kind of run in parallel to everything else, and be added as a feed forward to all the other controllers we're applying, so get you back to transparency and sucking less for the walking the exo, and then apply assistive torques for behavior-based motion, like different behaviors.
How much relative movement was there from the device to the person?
That is a good question. It's pretty tightly coupled on the leg straps. So the leg straps are pretty tight. There is usually quite a bit of jostling around on the tank. So that's a strapping issue we have to solve. But yeah, there's a decent amount on the upper body, not so much on the lower body.
Yeah, it was more or less in the same line with the alignment.
Okay, well, I've got a tiny bit of time left. I would like to say that I was tired. I'd like to say it with a limerick. If you're looking at all these beards and say, that seems like my sort of weird, then come build some bots in a state where it's hot. Just apply, there's not to be feared.